to get into this game.
All right, so I'll give us a countdown then. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice. Okay.
All right, so game number 1 of Infernal versus Air. Oh,
Yeah.
Ocean.
Wait.
Ocean. What am I? The tags are here.
Air.
It's Ocean versus Infernal. It says so right here. What is wrong with me?
Come on.
Oh
See
my
that
goodness.
usually. Side note: I usually have a pad or like a little like notepad with the team names on them, but I don't
Yeah.
have that anymore because
Yeah.
it's right there. Anyways, get into the game.
Yeah, either way,
Let's go.
both teams taking away some long range poke here. Ocean going to
Yeah.
knock out the Nidalee, and Jace going to be removed off the table for Team Infernal. So that's interesting. Like just a very different feel from what we've seen from our last set that we just watched. Oriana going to be the next one taken away by Team Ocean here.
Yeah, we're seeing the recurrence of the Callista every single time a team is on red side just because of how great a pick Callista is. So we don't need to touch on that too much, but the Jace definitely is a huge, even like flex pick that you can now put into the top lane and into the mid lane. So you can first pick that, and that can create that the flex pick in either one of those lanes. But then you look on the other side and you have the Camille, Nidalee, and the Oriana. So what these picks all represent is just huge damage dealers as well as utility. So you want to take the damage jungler out, which is Nidalee. She's so incredibly good right now with her clear speed as well as how fast she can just get across the map. If you just want to get even like an early boots after your jungle item, then what you can do is you can just jump over walls and then just rotate with ease as well. You have a lot of damage. So overall, first pick with the Xayah. I want to see what they choose next, even just as a counter. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. We saw the second set of last game, Xayah and Rakan really being that preferred second pick that you want to have left open if you were on red side on this first round of drafting, and that's why Blue Team or Team Ocean goes for this Xayah pick straight away. And it's funny because it actually forces the hand of Team Infernal to pick that Rakan as well, because you don't want to give up that duo. Spica gonna go in with the Gragas pickup, or hover at least, to see if they can get a jungler pickup, but that dominance down in the bottom lane coming from the dynamic duo, the two lovers, really something you always got to watch out for.
Exactly. You want to take, like you said, you want to take away the Rakan just for that duo potential. But with that, you really need to now know how to play Rakan as just a solo champion. But you also need to pair an ADC along with that combos with the Rakan really, really well. And the pick that comes to mind is Tristana, as well as let me think. The Jhin is really good. Even Varus. I was about to say Varus, but if you pair a utility ADC along with that, main two that come to mind, Ashe maybe, but then really the Varus and the Jhin pair along with this Rakan really well, just because you can engage with Rakan and you can fire off your couple of shots and even just press W on Jhin. But he's not playing Jhin. He's playing Varus. So a lot of slowing potential from Varus's E now coming up. But then even going on the other side, you have the Sejuani and Syndra. So what this now offers this whole entire team is just a tank overall. So it's really good. Even engage potential coming out of Sejuani, as well as really nice early to mid ganks. Level 4, level 5, level 6. But then you even look at the Syndra, and Syndra pairs really well versus anything right now. Even though she's a little bit mobile, she can do huge amounts of burst to someone that doesn't have a spell shield. So that's exactly why they banned out the Malzahar.
One of the other things that you're going to notice on the Syndra pickup is that it largely gets used for disengage when things start going awry as well, because it kind of fills in that spot that Ajana would in the support role as well. So maybe they go for something a little bit more aggressive down the bottom lane to facilitate some aggressive play. We'll see if that's what they go for on their side. But looking at the bans right now, Malzahar banned away in the mid lane away from Team Infernal, and up in the top lane they're getting away the Shen and the Cho'Gath out of the hands of Piecake Lord.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to take away the main carries. You just take away the Shen with the global pressure and the Cho'Gath for a crazy amount of damage. But then last but not least, you don't want a carry top laner to have someone like Gnar, just because Gnar's lane pressure as well as his damage up in the top lane is just absolutely crazy. So finally, Corki coming out into the mid lane to pair off against the Syndra. He can do that really well because of Corki's range at level 6. So he doesn't really want to get close to Syndra, but he doesn't have to get close just because you have a lot of range on your champion. So as well, you get the Maokai in the top lane. There's really no surprise there. Tank in the top lane as well. As well as Taric.
Ooh, that's a really, really good pickup, actually. Yeah. The ultimate on Taric, allowing them to go for very aggressive plays, especially under turret, with almost zero risk thanks to the invulnerability duration. So if they want to send Sejuani in first, get that passive burned on the additional armor and magic resist, and then throw down the invulnerability while that's getting crushed through, they can really play some, do some very, very aggressive plays here. But what's this? Oh, Fiora. No. Here it is. It's the killer of tanks, the destroyer of worlds, somebody who scales exceptionally well into the late game when played correctly and causes every single tank player to be in a nightmare scenario if they just do not play it around it correctly. If you've watched my casting before,
You've
seen me complain about this shit. Right now, I'm banning Teemo every game just because he can double proc Aerie off of one auto attack, and I think that's dumb. And it should not be that way, but it is. Oh
yeah, because of the auto attack and the E.
Yeah, and it just it does the poison duration thing. But if it was not the case, I would still be banning Fiora every single match. But I'm excited to see how Piecake Lord puts this one together in the top lane as we wind down out of our spectator delay here. I love how quick these games actually get started.
Yeah, me too.
Riot does a fantastic job of just, you know what, guys, here, get into the game. Champ select's done, and now you're in the match. So I wish it worked like that on live, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't. But I was gonna say, usually with our casting is that we go back and forth. We take our time in champion select. Now it's like boom, 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 boom. All right,
we gotta get quick, dude. We gotta go. We gotta become fast.
Let's go. But yeah, we saw this matchup last game. I kind of want to go over some of these matchups because we saw the Maokai face off against the Renekton last game, and Renekton didn't have the greatest time versus Maokai. Maokai basically just said no and then just smashed him. But in this game, I think that Fiora can do some wonders versus Maokai if Fiora actually doesn't get ahead.
It's definitely true, and not only can she do, make some great plays, she can do them solo a lot easier because of the mobility that she has and because of the amount of punish potential that she's got. The movement speed on Fiora is the thing that people don't value as highly as they should when they're playing into the matchup, so I'm really looking to see if Kaizen knows this matchup well enough that he can avoid getting killed fairly early on here, even at level 3, because if Piecake Lord knows what's going on, it can be pretty interesting. Aggressive play coming out here for Team Infernal. And maybe, is Riot, did they take personality, tests and stuff? Because Team Mountain was objective-focused. Team Infernal's, really aggressive with their positioning. I don't know, man. Maybe they were like, how do you feel about League of Legends? I want to kill the enemy. All right, well, you're Team Infernal.
It's just this big Russian guy I want to kill.
So you're Team Infernal, I guess. But either way, Infernal not finding too much vision there. They almost find a little bit of something onto Prismal, but they're not going to find anything at all. They reset and just put their jungler down in their spot. Spica just going to take away this blue buff here and maybe try to affect the top side of the map. Like we said before, the top lane's very volatile, and if it starts going in Piecake's Lord's favor in this matchup, it's going to stay there for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. But we forgot to introduce the teams.
There's no time for that. Usually we would do that, at the loading screen. I guess we could do it now.
Do it right now. Go.
All right. So on the blue team, Team Ocean, top lane, going to be Maokai, played by Kaizen. Jungler is going to be Blabberfish, playing Sejuani. Mid lane is going to be Palatox. Playing Syndra. Bottom lane is going to be Prismal on that 80 carry, playing Xayah. And 80 carry is going to be Vulcan, playing Taric as support.
I'm gonna go through this fast. So over on the red side, we have a Team Infernal, Piecake Lord in the top lane, Spica in the jungle, Julian in the mid lane, Noah Most on ADC, and T-Sum on support. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm skipping champion names next time. It just takes too long.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right, so top lane looks like we got a little bit of trading back and forth, but what I really noticed is in the mid lane, look at the dominance that Palatox is throwing down. These guys are getting a little bit too aggressive. I don't know about all this. Top lane, Blabberfish showing up, looking to see if they can't find. Look at that fantastic riposte coming through to try to negate that stun. Has to flash out underneath the turret regardless as that Sejuani guaranteed stun gets thrown down. Spicer coming in to see if he can't find himself a counter gank as... Oh my goodness!
Moly, twice in a row.
All right, we're about to have a spicy game here, and I got to change my mindset. Oh, top lane, Spicer finds the knockback as he just goes through for the root regardless. Still finding some damage onto Blabberfish, but either way, they're able to disengage. Team Ocean able to get out of that one.
Yeah, definitely, and really nice play and aggression from both of these teams. We see a lot of top lane prioritization from both guys because Blabberfish wants to get up there. He wants to try and get his tank rolling, if that makes sense. He wants to also try and prevent Pike Lord from snowballing, but it's the complete opposite on the other side. Gragas really wants to try and get some sort of kill onto the Fiora so that Fiora can just try and solo carry this lane. And we're already starting to see Fiora come up with a 6 CS lead, goes back to base, already gets a longsword. So a lot of damage is going to be going down onto this Maokai once she gets back into this lane. And as well, we also saw in the bot lane a little bit of aggression coming out from the Taric with the stun, or basically like the double stun that he puts onto the ADC. It's going to be really, really nice. But mid lane, once again, both aggression, Corki doing a whole lot of damage, Syndra doing a whole lot of damage, and it's all exciting.
Yeah, very minute gold lead here for Julian going against Palatox in that mid lane. Really just, like you were saying, so much aggression back and forth, and it's a very unyielding aggression too, because these guys will be just blasting each other in the face, standing their ground, walking through mini waves, kind of like this, just trading back and forth very aggressively. And that opens up a window, though, where these junglers can't respond to that aggression. When you move that far up in the lane, trying to get to the enemy and taking a bit of minion damage in return, you really open yourself up to these ganks.
And I really do want to see where these junglers prioritize here once come the 6-minute mark, because this is really when both junglers start to power spike in the early game ganks. So I think that Gragas, with his pathing towards the top side of the map, he really wants to try and go for something either in the top lane or the mid lane. I think that he's probably going to go into the mid lane just because he already tried the top lane. And you can output a lot of good damage onto a Maokai if you are the Fiora and the Gragas. But I think with how these lanes are going, I think Fiora, she just tries to push in as best as possible. But right now, she's just allowed to be pushed in. And Gragas really, really wants a gank, and he's going to do it. Maokai is flashless, but too big of a minion wave.
Yeah, not only that, but that ward coverage down in the river does notify him in time for Spice's gank. Now, look at the build coming out from Maokai. He's doing the right thing here. If you want to shut down a Fiora in the early game, you've got to have that Bramble Vest in order to negate the healing that comes out of her passive. If you do that, the trades become so much more difficult for her, and it helps you really battle against that early game dominance. Ultimate thrown down by Syndra. Oh my goodness. Julian just turns into a fine red mist in the face of Palatox.
That was really nice coming out of Syndra. She really didn't know her damage there, and it was honestly just Julian just didn't really respect because he got put into a corner point, and what he could have done there was just flash over that raptor wall. He needed to get the heck out of there, but there was enough, I guess, orbs around so that she could just...
Sorry, big trade coming in of Pike Lord there as he's able to get that riposte cleanly on that arcane smash. He just does such a good job reading the tempo coming out of this Maokai and gets a huge punish as a result.
Yeah, really, really nice mechanics by this Fiora player now, but Palafox really looking, I guess, all across. Really wants to look at what else he can do here. Already root down on...
Yeah, root over the wall there as Kaizen tries to chase out that Gragas, just barely picking up that Gromp kill before moving out of that jungle, but good collapse coming out of the likes of Team Ocean to defend that jungle camp. Bottom side of the map, Vulcan going very aggressive here against the rest of the enemy team, taking the health bars of Team Infernal down very low, but Prismal takes some decent chunking in return.
Yeah, in the bot lane, we've seen this basically back and forth at this point, and this is honestly the result of their CSing being basically the same, is that both of the supports are putting down equal amounts of aggression, as well as both ADCs. Xayah is really that type of ADC just to kind of sit back, place the feathers down, and then try and bring them back to her so that she can try and get some sort of opportunity to where Terra could follow up. But then Varus is almost kind of the exact same. So he's waiting for his support, but then Xayah's also waiting for her support. So basically both sides are waiting for their supports, and they're both being very aggressive, but ADCs are just doing their job at this point. They're farming, which results in perfect CS. And you can see that in their CS numbers.
Doing a fantastic job there. But speaking of CS, look at the top lane. Piecake Lord in a dominating position over the likes of Kaizen in terms of the minion last hit count. Picking up that blue buff there for Palafox, making sure that that mana bar stays nice and high. So much damage coming out of that Sejuani on that single target buff. It's really great to have a jungler that can actually kill camps, you know?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. But I don't think Blabberfish really knew the damage that Sejuani did, but mid lane, Palafox, three-man gank.
Good disengage attempt there from Palafox, forcing the flash out there. Ultimate thrown down, flash over the wall from Piecake Lord to proc the healing, and he's back up to half life after that dive.
I'm like, he's dead. He's dead. No! And then he wasn't dead. That was crazy.
Oh my goodness. And that's what I like to see out of my top lane players. Get out of the boring lane. Get to these other parts of the map where the action's happening, where you can affect things for your team. And I like that risky play. He knew exactly the damage that he needed and gets the benefit from it.
And that's exactly how you carry the top lane. You can either try and get some sort of an opportunity kill onto the enemy top laner, but if not, you really have to start looking across the map and seeing what exactly you can really get. But in the bot lane, flash away.
Yeah, big fight coming out here for Team Ocean and Team Infernal here, forcing the flash away from Noah Most, but either way, he's going to try to stay in this lane. Not so much sustain here for this bot lane duo, not when compared to the likes of a Taric, so they're going to have a hard time matching this sustain, especially when you factor in that Targon's Brace compared to the Ancient Coins. So it's going to be a hard time a little bit here for Noah Most until they find the collapse on this Corki, but he's really just going to ward up maybe a little bit, look for that bottom lane gank, but not fully commit to it and just stay in the mid lane and maybe try to affect the middle of the map a bit more.
Right, and what's his name? Julian looking for the redemption play because he died in the earlier parts of the game, which resulted in him getting Hex Drinker. But now he's really just looking for a play using the package. He tried to go towards the bot lane, but then he noticed that Prismo started to go a little bit more passive. Now he maybe wants to go towards the top lane, but then notices that there is a pink ward there as well. Piecake Lord went back to base. So really this game is like, it's not back and forth, but it's very, very, I guess, close. Just because Piecake Lord now has a kill under his belt, but then also on the other side, Palafox has one kill there. So 2 carries getting the kills. It's basically whoever can really snowball off of this that is really going to win this game. And it currently looks like Team Ocean really wants to put priority in the bot lane as well as Team Infernal with the response.
Yeah, everyone really grouping up down on this bottom side of the map. No turrets have fallen just yet. So this is the biggest opportunity for these guys to get this first blood turret gold. Top lane, though the dominance of Piecake Lord has been shown up until this point, he doesn't have a lot of damage down on this tower, so it's going to be a long time, or a bit of time, before they can knock down that top lane outer turret. They really want to get that first brick gold off of the map and make sure that they secure this advantage. But either way, looks like the pressure down on bottom lane is going to diffuse as various members of each team go back to base to refill their inventories and get new items. And it looks like pretty easy purchases for both these teams. Noah Most looking like he's going to go for the on-hit Varus build here, starting off with that Blade of the Ruined King.
Do we usually see the more attack speed centric build, or is that just normal, the Blade of the Ruined King?
The attack speed centric build is one that's used when you have a lot of tanks on the opposing team, so it's appropriate here when you have the Sejuani and Maokai, because you really want to focus on the passive pops out of the W of Varus. So you're likely going to see him go for a Blade of the Ruined King and Wit's End to try to make that passive pop really shine a bit more by shredding the enemy magic resist as well.
Right.
Typically, you'd like to go a crit build because that overall does more damage, but when you've got these guys in the front line that you know you have to hit, you've got to go for the on-hit build just to try to get that percent health really rolling.
Yeah.
But either way, looks like it's going to be blue team netting that bot lane outer first turret gold for them with the help of the Sejuani down there. Spica looking like he wanted to go for a Rift Herald, but instead they're going to be looking for a potential kill here onto Kaizen. He's stepping into the brush here. No ultimate thrown down for him to try to negate some of this. He finally throws it down and flashes out away, knowing that the ultimate from Gragas was on its way. So just predicting that CC knockback and just getting the hell out of there. Bottom lane now under fire as blue team continues the pressure down, just does not relent at all. Capitalizes on this weird rotation that Infernal has chosen to take, moving their duo up to the top lane before blue team was really throwing down pressure up there. And because they botched that potential kill, they lose an enormous amount on this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just basically we were waiting for that opportunity for one of these teams to try and take some sort of objectives. But if you take the first tower bot lane and you see that opportunity that you can do a little bit more, then why not do it? You had three, or basically you had Prismal, Vulcan, and Blabberfish down in that bot lane, and they pushed that very, very nicely. And then that resulted in them getting 2 towers. Even though Infernal does get 1 in the top lane, it's still not as worth, but kind of the gold lead is a little bit almost the same, just a 1k lead going over onto the favor of Team Ocean. But really now they have this little bit of a lead in the bot lane. They don't really need to focus that too much. But when you really are, when you're blue side, you really want all of those bottom towers down, and you want to basically get that inhibitor at some point, because on the opposite side of the map, it's the Baron. So if you can get free pressure in the bot lane just from an inhibitor, that means a whole other objective just opens up, with just it makes it that much easier.
Very true, but in order to get that pressure on that inhibitor, you need to have somebody down there who's in a lead to actually get to it. Right now, Pike Lord is in such a dominating position over Kaizen in terms of gold value. Sad thing is, he's still going to struggle in the 1v1 trade because of the Bramble Vest thus far. But as soon as he finishes off that Black Cleaver, which he's currently working towards, he's going to be able to just absolutely break the sticks of this tree man. And it's going to be a real hard situation for Kaizen for quite a while. So if they can find the pressure here for Piecake Lord, I think that Infernal might be able to pull themselves back into this game.
Yeah, and right now you see a jungle contestation from both of these guys. Blabberfish noticing that his buff's being stolen away.
Over the wall comes Blabberfish, trying to defend this red buff as much as possible. Smite coming through from Spice, a stun connects down onto Blabberfish, or from Blabberfish as well. Ultimate even being thrown down here. It really wants that buff back. Just chains into the next fight as well, as Piecake Lord had rejoined with his teammate to assist, but they forced 2 different flashes off of the Infernal squad, and that's going to hurt them for these team fights later on.
That was so incredibly close coming out from just the amount of CC that they put onto Piecake Lords, and they also stopped the dash from going through the Fiora Q. So she was kind of trapped in there unless she had her flash, which she had to use at the end of the day. But now that's already a 3-minute or 4-minute, 3.5 maybe, cooldown going down onto Fiora. So now she doesn't have flash for the next couple of minutes, and now what she kind of a little bit of an opportunity opens up for the enemy team to capitalize onto her, because now she can go into the bot lane to try and I guess push a couple of ways and face off against the Maokai, but she's going to be doing it a lot more passively because she doesn't have the help of her 2 towers behind her. She can still be a little bit slippery with her Q, but she's going to be playing a little bit more passively since, again, she doesn't have her flash.
Yeah, we will see if Fiora can stay safe down in the bottom lane. Doesn't want to be under pressure, like you said, just because of that summoner spell being missing down there. Mid lane, both sides just trying to clear the waves out and make sure that they keep the pressure up there and hold on to their turrets as long as possible. The rotation for both of the duo lanes to the top side has already occurred, as Noah Most and T-Sum are trying to get this top lane outer turret defended as best as they can. Does open a window, though, thanks to the pressure put down by Prismal and Vulcan for this this Rift Herald to be taken down, which is going to really help them get their next turret here and try to open up the enemy's side of the map. Once you've got that second turret taken down, it becomes a lot easier to get the third.
Yeah, and they're already sitting out like 1k ahead of Infernal. They were just kind of looking for that little bit of an opportunity to, I guess, keep that gold lead growing. But now is really the opportunity when you can do that. You can use the Rift Herald pressure to either put it into the top lane or into the mid lane to maybe try and crack open the tier 1s. You can also just group as a team in one of these lanes and then just get the tier 1s. Then maybe you can drop the Rift Herald if you want to go for a tier 2 maybe. But opportunities all across the board. We really just have to watch where exactly Sejuani is going since she does have this buff. But I think that she's really going to be looking to stay with her team now. She's grouping into the mid lane, but it looks like Ocean's maybe trying to put a little bit of priority in the top lane. But then it looks like they're also rotating into the mid lane too.
A lot of movement coming out around the map here. Kaizen finishing up that Righteous Glory suggests that he's pretty much ready to go for these team fights, but so far it's kind of hard for him in these team fights. There's a lot of percent health damage coming out between Gragas, Fiora, and Varus. So if he does go in and look for an engage, he's going to have a hard time keeping his health bar high and staying relevant if they choose to focus him down. But regardless, it looks like Team Infernal trying to respond to this top lane pressure that's been getting thrown down by putting Spica up here and looking for a potential gank. Wards being cleared out by both sides. Blabberfish responding to the rotation out of Gragas, and control wards being used for both sides to deny vision. Either way, it looks like it's just a battle to see who can deny enough vision and find the next pick, because once that happens, it opens up so much potential here in mid lane. A little bit of a stun there. Julian uses his cleanse to throw down to get clear of that CC and open up some space to get away from the Sejuani. Ultimate gets flashed away from, so that's both summoners down for Team Infernal's Corki player here. And they're going to just put the Rift Herald to use, take out some of those turrets, and then move away to the next objective. These guys may be looking towards this top side, but they know that they have to also defend mid lane because Corki still wants to reflexively get that mid lane turret pushed down. They've got to also defend their own objectives while going for the enemies.
I really love what Blabberfish here is doing in this game. He started out getting the Herald, going back into his jungle, getting a camp, and then he wanted to rotate towards the top side of the map just because that is where his bot lane was. But then right when he noticed that Team Infernal was basically grouping their members up there, he noticed an opportunity to go then into the mid lane and then get a tower, just because he already knows that Palafox has priority in this lane versus Julian. So then what Blabberfish did was he went towards the mid lane. He basically communicated to his mid laner to then stun the Corki, and then Corki was basically just forced to use the cleanse. This already created pressure for them to get the tier 1 tower, but then off of that, Blabberfish noticed that Julian was just a little bit too aggressive on the tower, and then that's when he forced the flash from Julian. So now we're going to be seeing a lot of rotating power coming between Syndra now that she kind of gets relieved pressure in the mid lane. Corki either has one of two options now. He can either continue to push this mid lane and try and get this tower, or he can try and follow up to the roam aggression that's going to be coming out of the Syndra.
Yeah, we will see what he chooses to do here, but regardless, Piecake Lord, now with that flash back up, is playing much deeper into the enemy's side of the map, really trying to put pressure on that bottom lane bot lane inner turret. And just trying to make sure that he keeps this Maokai under control. Blast Cone used to get away from Blabberfish on the Sejuani. Ultimate thrown over the wall, but no way to really follow up on that one. An interesting choice there to actually use that cooldown. But regardless, a lot of pings going down saying, hey, get to this brush. Let's see if we can find some picks. But either way, looks like Team Ocean just trying to do what they can to get to the enemy. No Sejuani ultimate available to them now, so they cannot go for this dive. And we spoke on it in Champ Select. When you have this Taric pickup and you've got CC on someone like Sejuani, you can go for these aggressive plays with almost zero risk as long as you're able to burst someone out. And because you've got the Syndra to do so, you'd really expect them to be going for more dives, but instead, they've been playing more rotational play, trying to catch people out as they move between the lanes, and so far it has not been working for them. This game has pretty much stalled out.
See, but the thing is, it's good that they're playing this rotational play, because what it's doing is it's basically getting into the mind of the enemy and making them think that they're ahead. So what this now does is They were originally in the top lane trying to get this tower, but then Infernal had to now then defend it. What they did then was they went into the mid lane, they got a little bit of damage off onto the tower, and then they just rotated back into the top lane to allow them to do something like this. So they get the final tier 1 tower, but then they keep a couple of members there in the mid lane too, because they already have a 3k lead. If you're gonna dive, you can dive, but it's a little bit more of a risky play. You don't really want to go for risky plays right now when you're first, I guess, playing maybe your first game of the Scouting Grounds, just because you want to play just a little bit more passive, a little bit more rotational. We might see that style of play, like you were saying, the dive style of play maybe later on into the tournament, but right now I think they want to go for more rotational.
Really just looking for the clean, safe play, if at all possible. Prismal just going to recall up here on the top side. Hopefully not get seen by this enemy support, but it would be a little bit spicy if they did scout that out. Not going to quite find it, though, as once again the wave gets cleared out by Noah Most, just trying to get as much gold under his belt as he can. And interestingly enough, not going for that Wits End pickup that we see a lot of those various players go for, instead preferring the crit chance on what is really kind of a low AD build. I'm not sure how much that crit's going to benefit him here, but we'll see how it works out for him going on into the later stages of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at, honestly, just basically at these other members and how much items and how much power spikes they're really getting to right now, the one member that really stands out to me is the Xayah, because she has basically her 2 main core items. She has the Essence and the Rapid Fire. What this allows her to do is just dish out a lot of feathers in just a very short amount of time. So she can press her Q, that's already a couple of feathers right there, but then she has a little bit more attack speed so that she can dish out a little bit more feathers like that with her W, and then finally press her E to allow her to stun just a little bit easier. Even the Syndra, she has 2 main core items right now. She's got the Morellonomicon for the raw damage, and then she has the Andres for a little bit more of a tanky AP style build, which is also really nice if you are basically the main carry of this team. Like you are, but then it's a very passive game in terms of kills all across, but not for Pie Lord.
Ooh, Pie Lord down the bottom lane, throwing down the Grand Challenge, seeing if he can't find a kill on the Kaizen, uses everything in his arsenal to get away from this Fiora, and as a result, Pie Lord nets himself a turret, riposts the Maokai ultimate and says, "Nuh-uh, can't see me today." But TP coming through here to the top side of the map where the Baron is being done. Pie Lord not nearly in a situation where he can respond to this. Varus ultimate thrown out over the wall. They're getting some good damage down on a Taric, who's forced to throw down the ultimate. He dies before it actually connects with him. Flash in by Rakan to actually get a 4-man charm. He's looking for what he can. The Syndra ultimate gets burned on him. He gets pelted to death. Now Noah Most is trying to find his way into the fight. Noah Most needs to get damage down here if they're going to do anything at all. He's charging up his Q. This is not a Q charging build. He actually just danced around there and denied. So what? He could have stepped forward. No, it's not my position to determine what should or should not be. Oh my goodness! They take out Pie Lord before they can finish off the inhibitor. It's a disaster scenario here for Team Infernal. They give up the Baron buff, 3 different kills, and don't even get the inhibitor on the bottom side.
Yeah, that was not the most optimal play coming out of Team Infernal. They were actually in the position to contest, but they were just, it honestly felt like they were a little bit scared and just out of sync, because there were certain things that occurred there that allowed them to be able to engage there. The support wasn't there. Vulcan was already dead. So, and then finally T-Sum went in, but it felt like a lot of the members weren't on the same page, or honestly even couldn't get over the wall. And finally, when they did get over that Baron wall, that's when the Baron was finally taken, and Syndra was just way too big. And I guess it was almost kind of like mental pressure coming out of Syndra onto Julian and Noah Most, because they just couldn't get into the fight whatsoever. And then finally, when the Baron was taken, that's when Prismal finally popped off and just started doing a whole lot of damage along with us.
Yeah, definitely true, and they're going to use this Baron buff immediately, heading to this top side and not giving a moment's notice to to let the enemy defend their base. And look at this, ultimate's already ready for the next brawl here. They could throw down a Maokai ultimate here and just drive the enemy back fairly easily, but it looks like they're going to preserve it for quite a while. Just the threat of walking forward, and here it is, the chain CC coming out of just being dumped onto Spica. They used the cleanse off of the Rakan to actually get him out of of that scenario, and instead they're going to get the damage down on the inhibitor. Bottom side of the map, though, Piecake Lord is finishing off a job that he said that he would swear to finish, or something like that. I definitely worded that very poorly, but either way, he gets the inhibitor, and he's going to back off. They trade 1-for-1 on the inhibs during a Baron buff, but I don't know if that's as good as it could have been. What could have been, I don't know, but either way, it's going to be a balance of power as both inhibitors are going to be spawning super minions across the map from each other.
I think for a Baron play, I think that was really good for Team Infernal. Because usually during a Baron power play, you can't do anything offensive. But then when you get the opportunity to do something offensive, let alone get an inhibitor, it's really, really good for you. So Piecake Lord definitely saying that that was worth for him. Basically, just to create that solo pressure in the bot lane. Now what he's looking to do is get more pressure in these different lanes. He's not looking to get it in the mid lane because that just means grouping with the team, but he's looking as a solo carry. What can I do in order to win the game for me? And his answer right now is just to put a lot of pressure in this top lane because you already got the bot lane, so that's already pressure down there. But for Team Ocean, they're looking at it like, okay, now we need to push the bot lane because we're all the carry. We're all the, I guess, the team. So once they get this inhibitor, it's really good for them. But if Team Inferno can just stop it, then that'd be really good.
Ooh, and there it is yet again, the immense CC coming out of Team Ocean. The engage comes through immediately. TP being channeled by Piecake Lord. They're able to get a kill onto T-Sum, but Piecake is here to help defend and really be threatening for the frontline members of Team Ocean. We'll see if they're able to defend as a result. Stun gets thrown down onto Julian, but he cleanses out of it quickly as Blabberfish goes in against Piecake Lord. Stun lands onto this Fiora, but despite, I think, having Riposte available, look at the damage that Syndra is able to do to Noah most, but regardless, they're just going to brute force this way, or their way through this enemy base and knock down this inhibitor. Piecake Lord off to the side, looking to see if he can find a battle with anybody, but no one is interested in committing onto him as they've already gotten what they're looking for.
Yeah, bottom inhibitor going down. Now all you really need to look for is the mid lane. But a very nice game being played by Team Ocean, but they're looking for a pick, and they found it.
Yeah, they found it extremely quickly. Wow. Julian walking forward, I guess looking to just deny some of the recall timers, but and open up a window for Piecake Lord in the mid lane, but they just turn on him and pop him so easily there.
Julian's not playing a good game, number one. He's trying really hard, but just the Corki pick, I feel like he just wasn't, I don't know. Like, the Corki pick was really interesting because I feel like he could have played this lane good, but Palafox was really good at just landing the different, I guess, just Qs that he needed to in order to, I guess, just win the lane. Versus this Corki, even though Corki, he built defensive, like the defensive Hex Drinker, he has enough damage, he has the Triforce and the Rapid Fire, it's not enough to fare up against what he's facing against as well. His positioning isn't that good. We just saw that just then where he pushed up just a little bit too far, and that's when Team Ocean capitalized. But I think that overall, Team Ocean is playing a really good game here as a team unit. Right now, Piecake Lord, he's trying to play a solo game here, where he's really just trying to farm up himself and just try and split push to the point where he can try and get a couple of towers maybe on the enemy side, maybe even open up an opportunity for him to engage. But right now, Team Ocean, they're really playing as a unit. They're wave clearing as best as possible, and they're playing a good game overall.
Very true. And talking about Piecake Lord and his side lane play, that could be the call. It could be the call to try to have Piecake Lord pull the pressure out of the center of the map off to one of these sides, but with the aggressive grouping that's kind of coming out of Team Ocean, it's just not happening, man. And I can see the mentality that you want to try to pull people to this Fiora to respond, but when you're matched up against a 5-unit push, there's no way that Fiora is going to be able to match the speed that this push goes down. So in the mid lane, once again, just getting back to how we're seeing these guys siege this mid lane turret. They could engage this at pretty much any time here. In fact, here goes the Maokai ultimate. Stun connects down onto Spiso, which gets him rooted up by the Maokai ultimate. Taric ultimate thrown down. It's a 5-man invulnerability, and these guys are soaking up so much damage here. There's no way that they can go down in this dive. They're still continuing to receive damage, though, as Julian is continuing to throw down shots, throw down rockets as he sees fit. Noah Most trying to get in to get a couple auto attacks in, but with the Righteous Glory pop from Kaizen, he's forced to step step back. Flash forward from Prismal, picks up the kill on a Pie Cake Lord. He's trying to continue on and find the next target that he can. Crit lands onto Spicer, but he's not going to be enough to actually dissuade him from entering the fight. Root connects now from Kaizen onto Spicer. He gets taken out immediately by Prismal, and now they're just going to close out this game fairly easily, wiping the floor with the rest of Team Infernal. It's going to be a triple kill for Prismal, and they close the match immediately.
Wow, that was an amazing game. 11-2 for Team Ocean. 32 minutes into the game. That was just an absolutely beautiful game being played by Team Ocean overall. Really nice map rotations. Just overall really nice shot calls from whoever really did that. I think that Blabberfish really did play a really nice game. On the Sejuani, he did exactly what he needed to do, counter ganked whenever possible, but then he also was there for the late game engages. I was also going to say really quickly that you were talking about Pie Cake Lord strat potentially working, and it could have, and it did earlier into the game,
right,
when Maokai did need to face up against him. But then once he gets into the later stages of the game, Maokai needs to start grouping up with the team and doesn't really need to deal with the Fiora even or just doesn't need to deal with the Fiora at all. And basically, if Fiora was pushing faster than all 5 members of Team Ocean, then the strat would have worked in the late game. But then since Fiora basically wasn't pushing as hard, then it didn't really matter. And she still had to go through a tier 1 or tier 2 in the top lane, and she couldn't have done that at this point.
Yeah, the point I was trying to get across there was that because they're in like competitive organized play, it's probably just not the sole decision of Pie Cake Lord to be off in the side lane. It's probably a team decision to have him down there trying to create pressure and trying to pull off even one member away from the enemy team so they can find a pick and maybe bounce someone in and, try to create a play that way. Because, know, it's probably pretty unlikely that Pie Cake Lord, the strongest member of the team, is saying, well, good luck, everyone. Defend the base as best as you can. I'm going to win the game 1v5. It's just not,
you're right.
It's probably not the mentality that this guy who was picked up by the scouting grounds has. It was probably a team decision to make that happen.
You're right.
But either way, man, I'm always appreciative of engaged tanks who realize, you know what, our tanks are just better than their tank. Kill this Gragas. Just kill this Gragas. Get him out of my sight.
Yeah, That's exactly what they did.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm happy to see it because you'll be watching like games in LCS when they're in this scenario. The tanks of one side are just superior to the tanks of the other side, and no one says, "Hey, let's kill frontline." No one says that. They just like dance around and like wait. I'm like, throw Sejuani ultimate, throw Maokai ultimate, go, you will win. So it's happy to see that initiation happen.
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Overall, a really nice game played by Team Ocean, but I think we should get into game number 2, dude.
Yeah, man, for sure. Let's see if Team Infernal can bounce back from that crushing defeat and get a win under their belt.
I think